Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or whenever you're watching me right now. My name is Jay Luke, the owner and operator of the Passion Is Network. I'm also the host of Talk That Talk. Go check out our store right now to get any of our merchandise. Remember, you can get 30% off your final purchase. Just type in HBCU band. Once again, check out the store. Go ahead and support us. Get any of our merchandise, and you can get 30% off your final purchase just by typing in HBCU band. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into this, man. So yesterday I saw this posted up on Miss Facia Cole's page. If you guys don't remember, if you haven't seen it yet, there's an interview that I did with Mrs. Facia Cole, the former band director at Virginia University. And she posted this particular video, this particular post. And so I want to not only read it, but I actually want to get into it, deep dive a little bit, because I want to have this conversation. I think it's time that we have this open conversation, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. It says, let's talk. Is this becoming a thing? If you're musically educated in Virginia, you are no longer good enough to work in higher education in Virginia. Is the Swack style so prominent that the skill and level of education we strive for in northern colleges and universities not entertaining enough for leadership? Are we now throwing away all other forms of music education in an effort to keep people entertained? After hearing the rest of the staff got released from their duties yesterday, it has opened up an unhealed wound. Seeing thousands of dollars being given to the program after my firing is most confusing and hurtful. I know how much I was doing and that I was maintaining a well-rounded program with numerous bands, pep band, jazz combo, concert band, and other small ensembles, and no financial support. Why didn't they want to support me? Should Virginia State and Norfolk State start looking to change their style so that they will be accepted by their administration? Or is this just an isolated issue? She puts the disclaimer out there that this is not a shot at the new Virginia Union director, and she wants to make sure that every single student that did start with the program, that she's happy for them, that she wants them to continue to support the new band director and all that. So we want to make sure that this is not directed towards the new director. This is coming from her personal feelings, but it opens up a conversation that we can have right here today. So the first thing that I'm going to start out by saying is this. Um, Two things can be true at the same time, right? Because apparently, based on what's being said here, um, the rest of the staff that was there under Mrs. Cole has now been released, right? So two things can be true at the same time. Me knowing the director life, if I come in as a director, I don't necessarily want people there that I don't know, you know, that well. I want to try to bring in my own group who's going to help to further the vision that I have, because the people before the previous regime is probably still going to be either be A, loyal to the person who came prior, or B, loyal to the ideals, and they may not align to the ideals and the ideas that I have. So that is number one. So let's go ahead and get that possibility out of the way, right? So, but the second thing is this, and this is the thing that I wanted to talk about. Is the Swack style so prominent that the skill and level of education we strive for in northern colleges and universities not entertaining enough? And then she goes to say, is this an isolated incident? I don't necessarily think that this is an isolated incident, because this is not the first time that we've heard of something like this, right? And I said it previously. I said I find it amazing in the fact that depending on the director who comes in, you can all of a sudden find money for these directors in these universities. The reason why I really believe that is because the crank up culture is now the thing that reigns supreme. And I said that the last time I did a LBR. Again, let me also preface this by saying I don't mind a little crank up. I don't think that cranking up is bad, but what I think that has now happened is that the crank up culture is the thing now that is fueling admin. I think the crank up culture now is what is fueling everything. And I'm gonna say it now, but I'm gonna preface it. I'm going to explain it later. I really think the what is it called? Um I really think the patients are running the asylum now. The thing about it is the fact that what we've seen in a lot of cases is like either old guard has been moved out, or people who are making a big deal, specifically at smaller universities. Bigger universities, not so much, but I think it's starting to trickle in. I think the trickle down effect is happening. But, you know, band directors who are coming in who really care about the education and the growth of the student, and not specifically about getting the clicks and the likes and the views, are the ones that are not being taken seriously. Those are the ones that are not being hired in mass. Those are also the ones who are being kicked out faster, in my opinion, from what I can basically see from these outside views, right? And right now it's about how many clicks can I get, how entertaining we are, so on and so forth. So like, even if we use this as an example, that complete staff has been taken away, and somebody like Miss Phasia Cole, who, was there, and there was a music education program, so on and so forth. The thing that we continue to miss is that a lot of these band programs, these marching band programs that we are so excited to see, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being entertained by what they do on the field. But the thing that we continue to miss is there is a school of education that is attached to most of these programs that we completely miss. So we'll hire a marching band director, and that kind of goes back to the conversation that I was having about Dale State when somebody put that in the comments, right? We'll hire a marching band director. How does that service that kid who's a music education major? How does that strengthen that kid who's a music education major if all the idea is the crank up? Let's be real. There are bands that we hear right now who are cranking up who have bad intonation problems, bad attacks and releases, and they're not being fixed. And I'm not talking about specifically at the beginning of the year, because let's be fair, it is the beginning of the year. And so because of that, there are going to be some problems. But even if you go back to listen to last year, at the end of the year, there were still bad attacks, bad releases, intonation problems everywhere. And those things are not being fixed. Those kids who are part of that education program are not being educated within there. Let's just keep it a buck, right? And then on top of that, and this is why I say it's a trickle down effect, because of the fact that you have your bigger universities who are getting the notoriety, who are getting the entertainment, who are getting the clicks and the views, who are going to the Mardi Gras, and they do to some degree have functioning music education programs, right? But the smaller programs are going to look at that and say, well, we want that. That's what we want, that, right? Then the admin is going to say, well, how do we get that? Well, in order to get that, we got to get rid of this person who is really pushing the music education process of it, because even in the fact that we have a smaller program, we still have to have something that is going to be beneficial for the students who are being educated to go out and get a degree. Because remember this, anybody who graduates is in competition with anybody else who is also out there graduating with music education degrees, PWIs and everything else, right? And one of the things that I had a conversation about with one of my church friends was the fact that we leave en masse more unprepared for the job than our counterparts. Why is that? Because it's because of where our focus is, specifically now. Our focus has shifted. And this is why I say the patients are now running the asylum, because of the fact that, let's be real, you can have a band director who's focused on the music education and the growth of the student and so on and so forth, who also can say, we care about the marching band, but I also care about the jazz band. I also care about the wind ensemble. I also care about, all of these particular things. But then you'll have students who say, well, we not playing what they playing. We don't sound like they sound. Then you'll have admin who's saying, you not doing this, you not doing that. And so now that director who cares about those other aspects of the music education process now have to shift their thinking or shift the way that they do things in order to be able to appease everyone else so they can keep their job. Because let's not forget, these band director roles are jobs. They're jobs. It's supposed to be careers, but jobs end up becoming something that you end up doing that you want to do for the love of it, but it then becomes just work. Because you're not having fun anymore, because now you're kowtowing to what the people want instead of or instead of doing the thing that you feel is best for that particular situation. Hence the reason why I am an advocate for take your program and make the best out of it the way it is. I don't mind a crank up session. I don't mind that at all. I think that's fine. Everybody gets a little titillated when they hear a little crank up every now and then, right? But here's the other half of that. When I was coming up, every band wasn't a crank up band. And every band was still entertaining for who they were, because they took what they did and they made it the best, for that particular program. And it was appreciated from all styles. And it was appreciated from all sides. I think the problem now is we only appreciate one style, one sound, one aspect of marching band. And so when it comes to this particular situation, yeah, I think that it is starting to trickle down. Posing the question about is Virginia State in trouble versus, is Norfolk in trouble? I don't know. In my personal opinion, I think if anything, Norfolk isn't. And that's not to say as a Legion member, and that's also not to say anything bad about Virginia State, because I don't really think from the last performance that I saw, Virginia State's doing all right. But knowing the history that Virginia State and Norfolk State have, understanding that we had the Labor Day Classic back in the day, that used to be the thing, seeing where Norfolk is versus seeing where Virginia State is. And, I know they lost a director, not lost in that way, but director left, another director came in, and he's been trying to build it since then, getting his footing, so on and so forth. And he's been there, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't think that nobody will ever look for Norfolk to crank up or be this quote unquote, as she states it, the Swack Style. I don't think that nobody will ever look for Norfolk to be that way, because of the fact that Norfolk is Norfolk, and everybody in the state of Virginia and surrounding areas expect Norfolk to be the Norfolk. But I think that any small program right now, is on the chopping block. Because the way it sits right now, if you're not in part of the quote unquote crank up culture, you kind of don't really hear about them. You just don't. We talked about it last night. Shout out to Tuskegee and what they're doing. But last night, Quan brought up Fayetteville. I didn't even know Fayetteville had a performance. Shout out to Elizabeth City. I went and personally, went to go find their show. But I think that we're moving in an era right now where the patients are running the insane asylum, where this particular type of culture is reigning supreme, and admin are looking for that particular thing. And they not going to fund you if you not going to give them what they want to see from the band program. And so again, remember, music education is attached to these programs. I say it all the time. You're not going to walk into your college algebra class or your college math class, whatever college classes you take, and expect to have fun the whole time. There are people in there who are math majors. There are people in there who are there to get their specific degree in that thing. And that professor is not going to change what they teach in order to appease you. But we have on the back end something different. On our situation, we change what we do to appease the masses, to appease our students, to appease, you see what I'm saying? So that's, I don't know. And I'm open to the possibility that I could possibly be wrong. So you guys tell me inside of the comment sections, you guys tell me what you all feel. Am I rolling in the right direction? Am I wrong? Am I off a little bit, man? I want to see it inside of the comment section. Give me your thoughts. Also, please remember, go ahead and hit up the store. Remember, HBCU band will get you 30% off your final purchase. I appreciate you guys, and I want to see your comments. Other than that, peace.